In 1968, protests against capitalism, the economic and political elite, racism and the Vietnam War arose worldwide.
Moved by these protests, 5 students initiated the first symposium in 1970 with the mission to foster dialogue between generations.
Their initiative was a success and would go on to become the world's leading platform on cross-generational debates
on economic, political and social developments between decision makers of today and tomorrow.
Today is an exceptional day for us.
It represents the accomplishments of 10 months of hard work based on the performance of 49 teams before us.
Dear participants, welcome to the 50th St. Gallen Symposium.
Before we hand the word over to you, we would like to give you an insight into our side of the story.
Our reason to devoting all our passion, energy and 1 year of our lives to the organization of the 50th St. Gallen Symposium.
Our reason to bring all of you to one table.
It is the aspiration within each present and past member of this initiative
to take responsibility for the future and to establish a global dialogue between generations on the unsolved challenges of our time.
It's the ongoing call to action, spanning over half a century and a meaningful contribution
to a global discourse on topics that matter, with people powerful enough to change them.
It is the ongoing call to you.
Open your mind for new ideas.
Have the courage to raise your voice.
Engage in compelling debates.
Learn from our senior leaders' experience.
Get inspired by our aspiring leaders' vision.
Listen to our leaders of tomorrow's views and expectations.
Benefit from the support of our 200 student volunteers.
And challenge our speakers.
You are more than a conference participant.
You are now a part of our reason to pursue the idea of making a difference.
Now it is on you to take this unique chance.
And to create an unforgettable 50th St. Gallen Symposium.
A very warm welcome to all of you from St. Gallen. Today a rainy St. Gallen with a very cold, but obviously we are very enthusiastic about the next 3 days because we are starting our 50th St. Gallen Symposium, an anniversary of cross-generational dialogue which we have done for 50 years, and every year it is more exciting. This year we will have a new setup, as you already have realized, because we are combining a lot of global locations. So we are combining 12 locations worldwide. So I'm saying hello to all these 12 locations across the world. As we are streaming as well, we are going virtually, we will have 2,000 participants representing 80 countries. And we will have 60 sessions over the next few days, of which 14 sessions will actually be public sessions where everybody can listen in and take a lot out of the discussion on our theme, Trust Matters. With that, it's my great honor to introduce to you now our conference chair, Ambassador Dominic Barton. He is actually at the moment in Beijing, and he will address you now. And here we see Dom. Dom, welcome. It's great to see you in Beijing, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Peter, and it's wonderful to see you. It's been a long time. It's been too long. I want to start by welcoming everyone to the 50th St. Gallen Symposium. I'm very excited about this because it's one of the most innovative formats I've ever seen. With the sort of the physical and the digital, we have the entire planet covered. And I also just want to say that I can't think of a more opportune time to celebrate the 50th, hearing the students talking and the film about, the 1968 period, the 1970 start of the St. Gallen Symposium. We're in quite similar times today. It's odd, as they say, how I think it's Mark Twain who said history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So I just wanted to say a warm welcome to everyone. I think the conference theme is so important. Trust matters. And having this intergenerational dialogue and this global dialogue is so important. And as Peter said, there's a wonderful set of sessions, over 60, that are set up over the next 3 days. And I look forward to participating in this, getting lots of ideas and lots of ideas for action that we can all take to hopefully get us on a better path for the next 50 years as we look ahead. So thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Dominic, and again, welcome and great to have you with us. As you said, we have done this for 50 years now, but I think this year is a very vital year as the pandemic has really accelerated a lot of changes, and we will be discussing this over the next few days. With that, let me go over to our dear friend, Lord Brian Griffiths. He's actually also connecting to us by video. Now, Brian has served many, many years as our conference chairman. And Brian, you were always fascinated to come to St. Gallen. You were fascinated about the young people, the cross-generational dialogue. So tell our participants a little bit more why you have been with us for so long and what was the real fascination about the St. Gallen Symposium for you?
Well, can I say, first of all, welcome to everyone, and let me echo Dominic's remarks. I think, first of all, one should say thank you to the organizers, the students. They've done a fantastic job, because technologically what's happening is really a miracle. And they put in so much work to it. You know, I've loved, first of all, coming to St. Gallen, though I'm sad it's raining and slightly cold. It reminds me of London, though today London is very sunny, so it's very different. But if you say, why do I like coming? Obviously, there are very good speakers, very topical subjects that are interesting. But I think there are three things that stand out for me about the symposium. The first is, as has been said by the students and reinforced by Dominic, key to this symposium is that it's focused on the younger generation. It started with the younger generation, and the younger generation are at the heart of this program. And, you know, I started my career as a university teacher and researcher, and I did so because I love teaching and I love young people. So that's very important. The second thing that has always hit me about St. Gallen, which I love, is that it's interdisciplinary. So many of us are in silos. We're economists or academics or business people or bankers or politicians or health workers and so on. And we don't communicate much with each other. And I think that cross-fertilization is, for me, what makes St. Gallen very special. And then thirdly, I've actually always liked coming to St. Gallen itself. And because for me, it's really a crossroads in the debate over our culture and civilization. We have a new university, first class, going in the right direction. And then we have a World Heritage Site, history, the old world, religion. And in a way, I think we have questions to ask to the Abbey. But on the other hand, the Abbey has questions to ask of us, of our cultural conflicts, Black Lives Matter, the environmental challenges we face, the pandemic, and the resilience of health, and so on. So I think that that dimension of St. Gallen is actually rare in conferences. And for me, it's been very important.
Thank you very much, Brian. As you know, when we had the physical meetings here in St. Gallen, we had just below 1,000 participants, normally around 800. Now this time we have 2,000 coming from across the world. So we have a lot of new joiners, newcomers. So what would be your advice to those newcomers of how they should actually go through the 3 days, but also then take the themes and the subjects with them into the next year before they return to St. Gallen in a year's time?
Well, my advice would be that, I mean, they all are potentially leaders of tomorrow. Some of them indeed are leaders of today. But I would say my advice coming to the conference is, the first thing is to listen, and to listen to people's point of view and their arguments, even if you disagree with them. But actually listening is very important. And as somebody in Goldman Sachs once told me, when you're talking, you're not listening. Secondly, to try and understand what that point of view is, to give it a whirl in your mind, how you think about it, and then formulate your point of view and make sure that you're a player in the game and not an onlooker on the touchline. Get involved in it. So when you go to a session, make your presence felt. You don't have to speak a long time to make it felt. Ask a very precise question, which gets to the heart of what you think the issue is. And I think what you'll find is you'll love the symposium and you'll be welcomed by other participants in it, and you'll have fun.
Thank you, Brian. And I think the last one I particularly like. One has to have fun in these days as well, given the environment around us. So I very much concur on that one. Now, Brian, you are
especially to have fun in Switzerland.
Yeah, that's good. We'll make sure you can have that fun next year again in Switzerland. So, but you enjoy sunny London at the moment. So, but Brian, you are an economist, and you know our theme this year is trust matters. And we have seen a trust erosion across the world. So from your perspective, what are your thoughts about our theme on trust matters and how you see the world in this? So can you share a little bit with our audience from your perspective?
I'd be delighted to. I have to say, I think there is a lack of trust. If you look at the Black Lives Matter protest, there's a lack of trust in the idea of the rule of law, which our democracies are proud of, a lack of trust in the police. There's a lack of trust by younger people in the environment. We are paying for, or we're financing the response to COVID, which with huge increases in debt in our respective countries. The younger generation are going to have to pay the interest on the debt. And I feel in Britain, this intergenerational unease, exactly like it was back in 1968, it's really a problem. And I was very impressed. There was the chief reviewer for the New York Times, Japanese-American lady, and she published a book last year called The Death of Truth. And I think in order to have trust, you yourself and the institutions of which you're a part must be trustworthy. And to be trustworthy, you must in the end talk the truth. I mean, the reason that China is not liked because of the Uyghurs is because people feel they're not really being trustworthy, or that Putin in Russia, the way he treats dissidents, he's not really telling us the truth. And they feel, again, the environmentalists, that the business and capitalism is really not telling us the truth about the environment. So I think trust relates to being trustworthy and to facing up to truth itself. And I have to tell you, that's a hard thing to do. It's not easy, but I think we're called to challenge. There's a personal challenge and there's a political, social challenge. And it's a huge challenge, a huge subject. But I think we start now in this conference and say, we really want to crack it.
No, thank you very much, Brian, for your words. I think I would share all of them, and I think over the next 3 days, a lot of your remarks and the things you have mentioned will be further deepened in the discussions. So let's together hear and see what the speakers of this year's symposium and the community of the symposium have to say about this. We will see a video.
I believe that trust, the theme of this year's conference, is at the very heart of the St. Gallen Symposium. In fact, the reason it was founded 50 years ago was because of the student riots in the 60s, which was an expression of the lack of trust by the younger generation in the older generation. The way they conducted politics, the way they ran companies, the way they shortchanged the students in the universities.
This year's theme, Trust Matters, comes at the perfect time. The pandemic has highlighted issues and challenges that run deeper than just the distribution of medical equipment and vaccines.
The greatest challenge lies in a lack of trust in the competence and probity of all elites, including the media. This distrust is partly caused by the understandable disappointment of a large proportion of the population with their economic lives. But it is also a result of rapid social and cultural change and elite failures.
Trust is a reflection of our interconnectedness and interdependence as human beings. Intergenerational conversations are essential to affirm young people and give them the confidence to lead into the future.
I hope this dialogue will show us how important trust is. And I hope that we will learn how trust can be achieved.
I wish to invite the younger generations to resist polarization, to fight populism, and to prioritize values rather than beliefs. Values unite us all. This way, we can bring trust back.
I'm deeply convinced that we need to leverage the creativity and the curiosity of tomorrow's generation to challenge our own experience and our established opinions. This is how we shape the future, a future that offers the greatest possible potential for all of us.
Constructive dialogue is an important trust builder. In that sense, the St. Gallen Symposium has been building trust for over 50 years now. Constructive dialogue and debate are also fun and allow us to learn from each other. In that spirit, let's talk and learn together.
With an outstanding array of thought leaders and change makers from across the globe, this year's St. Gallen Symposium promises to be a landmark in its 50-year journey. I'm really looking forward to the event and wish it many more years of success going forward.
So during the symposium, I'm just really looking forward to advance my thinking about the future. You know, the pandemic has officially brought about the digital age, and it feels like we're on the edge of great transformation. So yeah, I'm just looking to hear new perspectives, and an interesting time is ahead of us.
I have always loved the quality of dialogue that I have experienced at St. Gallen. It's candid, certainly vigorous, but it's also open-minded and constructive. It leads to results, and I trust that this year will be no different.
I'm really looking forward to the cross-generational dialogue occurring in St. Gallen because we really get to come together as experts across many disciplines, stages of leadership, and even geography. Building trust in our society is a collective effort. It'll start with us as individuals to the organizations we're part of and the governments that we elect. I hope at this symposium you will be open to sharing your insights that you've developed through the change that you've made in your local communities. Be open to collaborating together and really think about trust at a global level.
Values, cross-generational debate, listen, actions. That's what we heard. So this is expecting us to stay together, discuss over the next 3 days, and then actually take it forward back into our communities. Now let's continue with the journey across the globe. Let's go to Singapore. In Singapore, we have Swan Bay sitting there. Hi, Swan. Good to see you in Singapore. Singapore, an important hub for the symposium. And with that, over to Swan, who is the chairman of the EDB in Singapore, and he will also have his opening remarks, and after that we will chat a little bit together. So over to you, Swan.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning to you, to Lord Griffiths. Good afternoon to Dominic in Beijing. And a big hello to all participants at the St. Gallen Symposium, whether you're participating virtually or physically. In particular, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all the participants who are here physically at the Singapore Hub. I'd like to first thank the organizing committee of the St. Gallen Symposium for choosing Singapore to be one of your physical hubs, one of your 2 physical hubs outside of St. Gallen, in this very innovative response to the constraints that COVID-19 has imposed on travel and on in-person conferences. I would also like to express my heartiest congratulations to the St. Gallen Symposium for the 50th edition of this unique and outstanding platform promoting cross-generational dialogue. The topic of trust is very timely. Partnerships between countries to tackle the COVID-19 crisis are needed more than ever. No one is safe until everyone is safe. However, in recent years, multilateral institutions that have enabled countries to work together for the common good have been weakened, undermined by populist politics in some countries, and which in turn have undermined trust not just in multilateral institutions, but in cooperation across countries. So international cooperation needs to be resuscitated. That is why I'm particularly proud that Singapore and Switzerland came together to co-chair the Friends of the COVAX facility to help turn it into reality, despite the glaring lack of international cooperation in the past year. The COVAX facility was an important initiative that was put together by Gavi, which is the Global Alliance for Vaccines Initiative, by CHAPI, which is the Coalition for the Coalition for Preparedness for Innovations to deal with all the epidemics, and WHO, to organize this collective procurement of vaccines on behalf of more than 100 countries. It is not the perfect solution, but it has definitely enabled low-income economies to secure access to COVID-19 vaccines earlier than what could have happened if we had left it to market forces. It was a demonstration of both Singapore's and Switzerland's commitment to multilateralism, and in this case, vaccine multilateralism. It was also a demonstration of the trust and friendship between the 2 countries, which is wonderfully exemplified by Singapore's partnership with St. Gallen University. So as we continue to navigate these challenging times, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the St. Gallen Symposium for focusing our attention on this very important issue of trust. Again, a warm welcome to all the participants from across different generations, backgrounds, and nationalities here today. It is important that current and future leaders are able to discuss and develop ideas to help our societies chart out a better future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Swan. Thank you very much for your words around trust and also using one of the key examples between Singapore and Switzerland. Like we from the Symposium in Singapore have a very long history, as you mentioned as well. So can you give us a little bit more insight on how you and our students have organized the next 2-3 days in Singapore. So what values have driven you in thinking of what you have together with us put together in Singapore?
I think first, Peter, if you permit me, I'd like to share a little bit about the unique relationship between St. Gallen University, the Symposium, and Singapore. I think firstly, I should highlight that St. Gallen University established the St. Gallen Institute of Management as its Asia Center 10 years ago in 2011. The university has faculty who are based here and also a very flourishing exchange program where students from St. Gallen University will spend the Asia term here and vice versa, a growing number of students from the universities here who are spending the summer term in St. Gallen. And this unique connection between St. Gallen University and Singapore, I believe, started in 2003 when then Minister Barton, I'm delighted he's here today with us, represented Singapore at the 33rd edition of the Symposium. The platform offered Singapore an opportunity to share with the very important business community in German-speaking Europe about how we dealt with SARS and how we ultimately rebounded from it. Since then, the Symposium has regularly invited our political leaders to speak and participate in the event. Recent participants include Senior Minister Tharman, Deputy Prime Minister Heng, Minister Chan Chun Sing, Mr. Ong Yi Kang, and Mr. Lawrence Wong. It is a distinction that I think no other conferences can claim to have. And I think those of us who are here in Singapore know the significance of some of the names that I just mentioned.
No, thank you, Swan Jin. This is an impressive history between the two of us. And thank you to you personally, but also EDB, for all the support in the recent years and decades. And today we have the 50th anniversary, so we can all think about the future, which was also mentioned in the videos, or in the video. So we have 50 years to go to further strengthen the mutual trust between Singapore and Switzerland, but also between the Symposium and Singapore. So thank you very much for hosting in Singapore on behalf of the Symposium. With that, I bring the opening session to an end. Again, very warm welcome from me, the students, but also the foundation team who has worked very hard as well, plus the Board of Trustees as well. So the Board of Trustees, which I chair. So we are extremely excited to have all of you with us over the next 3 days. And we look forward to really interesting debates and also generate values on a cross-generational basis for the future. With that, I would like to give back to the conference host studio. There you will get in contact now with Patricia and with Maggie, and they will bridge into the next sessions, which, as far as I know, will start at Swiss time, 10:45, or whatever local time you have. So enjoy the next 3 days. It's great to have you with us. Enjoy today, the first day. Thank you.